Hey guys, welcome back to the Fool Show. Of course, I am Foolish Phil. Just wanted to give you some of my thoughts after Michigan loses to McNeese State 87-76. If you didn't watch this game, good for you. It was pretty miserable. Interesting little stat, listening to the radio broadcast. Michigan now has lost three straight years in a row where they've lost their first game after the holiday break, right? Michigan had, I think, 9 days off, 10 days off, something like that, from the Florida game last Wednesday, I think, to tonight. So something like 9, 10 games, something in that range. And 3 years in a row, they've now lost the first game back after the Christmas break. And I'm guessing they were probably similar games to this. I didn't look it up, so I could be wrong. But I'm guessing they're, bye games like this. You guys know what a bye game is, I'm sure. You pay McNeese State to come and play at your venue, right? To come to Ann Arbor and play. So Michigan paid McNeese State to come in and smoke them today. And, man, it just... I appreciate the Michigan radio broadcast saying it like it was, and I could see it. The energy between the two benches was night and day. McNeese State was up cheering and every time encouraging their teammates on, and Michigan was like a dead, just completely dead. I don't know what to say, a morgue. It's like hardly any... I know the team played like trash for most of the game, so now it's kind of hard to be all fired up and gung-ho. But there were points where Michigan clawed back in this game. They actually led at the end of the first half, close to it, and then lost it right at halftime. And they clawed back and got the game down to 5 points in the second half. And it seems like they just didn't seem to have any extra juice. But getting ahead of myself. If you would summarize the first half, Kamwa got 0 points in 8 minutes. Terrence Reed, got 0 points, I believe. And Michigan committed 10 turnovers, I believe it was, in the first half. 10 turnovers. They shot the ball lights out. They had 10 three-pointers, and they were in the game because of that. Because they still had 10 turnovers, which at one point in the second half, McNeese State had turned 14 Michigan turnovers into 18 points, and Michigan finished with 15 turnovers for the game, so close to that. But the first half, Michigan was just sloppy, and McNeese feasted on their sloppiness, and the refs were happy to give the benefit of the doubt calls to the aggressive team, and Michigan was not aggressive. Just what it is. So, the first half, Michigan's only down by 3 points at half. Yeah, 37-40, Michigan's down by 3 points at halftime. And alright, okay, if they can just... So I'm thinking, if they can just cut down on their turnovers, they'll win this game. Michigan came out flat as ever in the second half. And McNeese just said, we're not letting you back in this. Michigan shot the ball horribly in the second half. I don't have the official stat breakdown, but they were shooting over 50% in the first half, and by the end of the game, they were shooting under 40%. Michigan shot 13 three-pointers, 13 of 33 three-pointers. They only had 9 two-point field goals in this game, 9. That's how terribly their offense was working. Another horrible stat to point out. McNeese State had, at least, the last time I heard them mentioned on the radio, 44 points in the paint. 44 points in the paint. When you got Terrence Reed and Olivier Kamwa, two relatively big guys who could play center as need be. And they were completely ineffective. The defense was, again, trash. Michigan tried to play zone, but then McNeese State just was draining threes. So, they gave up 106 points to Florida. They gave up 87 points in regulation to McNeese State. The stats for the Michigan players, at least who you got. Reed, non-factor. I think he had 0 points. 0 points? 4 rebounds? 4 rebounds. T-Will, hey man, he has turned it around. 20 points. Him and Cheddar have been Michigan's best offensive surprises for the year, right? I would say that. He had 20 points. Doug, 17 points, but on 6 of 17 shooting, right? Kamwa shut out in the first half, 17 points in the second half, but he makes up for his offensive effectiveness with terrible turnovers quite a bit. Trying to do a skip pass across the whole court from one three-point line to the other side. Such an easy intercepted pass. And for what it is, I think Michigan has to do two things. One is they have to figure out, is this season just a complete wash? I'm wondering twofold, just when you see this kind of effort, has the team given up on the season? It was just a terrible effort. It really was. And I don't even think the score indicates how badly Michigan really played in this game. I know McNeese stayed, hit some free throws and all that, but it never felt like Michigan was ever going to really come back. You never had that feeling. So is Michigan going to just give up on the season? How are they going to come out next game? I think they're going back to the Big Ten play after New Year's, I think it is, versus Minnesota, if I remember correctly. Secondly, if Michigan keeps Juwan Howard, I think you have to fire one, if not two, of your assistant coaches. You got to get someone fresh in who knows how to coach some defense. You got to get someone in there who is going to instill aggressiveness. I mean, too often Michigan is just beaten so badly offensively. Like, people are getting easy layups and dunks, and Michigan just doesn't seem to have any answer for it. And it's been kind of a problem all year. I guess it was fool's gold in the beginning of the year where Michigan played tough and played some good defense. And okay, this team. And then that's gone away. So, I mean, is it just the teams playing poorly? Is it the teams not adjusting to what other teams are doing? So if they keep Howard as the head coach, and we'll see how the season tanks going forward, or if the team turns it around, what are they going to do with Howard? If Howard stays, they got to fire a couple assistants. So, I don't know. Because you already... is this a trickle-down effect of the Sanderson spat with Juwan Howard? Whatever the level of it really was, only those who were there really know. But that's not a great sign when the team played decently well against Florida and blew the game like typical Michigan fashion under Juwan Howard. But then this game, just completely laying an egg in a bye game. I mean, so that'll be interesting to watch. I'll have to say, too, I was actually, one thing I'll say, I was actually excited to see how Kayat, he played some pretty significant minutes. That was cool. I know he went like 0 for 2, I think it was, but he had a steal and set up a 3 by Cheddar. I mean, he made his free throws. So, like, if the season's toast, man, play the younger guys. You got to develop. Because, you know, honestly, one of the biggest downfalls of Juwan Howard is that there is no real significant bench. All you have is Cheddar. I didn't notice. Maybe Llewellyn was out there. But, you know, there's no real bench. You got to develop your bench. I mean, if the season's a total, if it's going to just be, you know, a waste of a season, just, you know, take your lumps and play your younger guys and try to build some strength, some, you know, learning, give some practice and all that. I don't know what you can get from this, guys, you know. Like I said, if you didn't watch the game, good choice, because it was pretty pathetic. Oh, man. The basketball season seems to be a complete train wreck right now. I know it's one game, but Michigan's 6-7 after the non-conference, and they're going to be playing a pretty weak Big Ten. So maybe you're like, you know what, foolish Phil, maybe Michigan will turn some things around. Maybe they'll finish with a winning record in the Big Ten, right? Go like 10-8 in the Big Ten or something, right? I think they play 18 games. Maybe that, right? Could they get in and win 1 or 2 games in the Big Ten tournament? You know, maybe that gets them in. They got some bigger issues they got to figure out. I don't know what they're going to do. The radio was saying, I think it was, you know, the color guy was saying when his team would have a bad game like this, they would, you know, sit in the locker room and watch highlights of it, try to figure out what the real problem was, before, resolve it. I don't know how Javon Howard handles a bad loss like this. It'd be interesting to know. But it'll be real interesting to see how the team plays next. So, let's see what happens, man. This season looks like it's right in a drift. Which way is the team going to go? Is it going to improve or just sink? I don't know. Because that boat is taking on water and the season's looking pretty bad at the moment. So, what's going to happen? Are things going to be fixed or is it just going to sink? Hey, if you have any thoughts, please put them in the box below. I'll try to respond as I'm able to. Oh, these are the dark days. But as I always say it, man, I go for Michigan, and even when they're bad, I still go for Michigan. Thanks for watching. Until I see you guys next time, which will probably be after the Michigan-Alabama game. Until then, as always, go blue.